Hey everyone, Moto31 here. I got to sit down and interview Evan Boymel, who is the voice actor for Viper in Titanfall 2. And if you all kind of know me at this point, I'm a huge fan of Viper. So this is super exciting, and I thought we had a really great conversation. I mean, we talked about a lot of really interesting stuff. This is something that I'm very excited to share with you all, and hopefully it gives you a bit more insight into the man behind the voice of Viper. Thank you all so much for the continued support. It really, really means a lot. Please consider liking this video and subscribing if you all want more Titanfall content. Now, with all that said, let's get to the video.
I'm Evan Boymel, and I'm the voice of Viper in the game Titanfall 2. Not quite my real voice, but somewhat close to that. No, but what I was saying. So we were sitting around the other day for Memorial Day at my parents' house. My wife, my kids, my brothers, their kids, and my parents. And I no longer live in Los Angeles, California. I lived in Los Angeles for about 15 years.
Right.
Worked in film and television for about 15 years there. They were asking me like if I'd done anything recently, and with COVID being what it is, the irony was that, and I apologize, I'm going to be swiping up on my phone while we're doing this. So sorry to your viewers.
That's fine.
But they were asking me, like, have you done anything recently? And my wife was like, well, actually, he had to record this thing for Respawn and for Electronic Arts like a couple months ago. And, I'm trying to explain to my parents, what it was. And, and I actually had not, I readily admit, I had seen kind of like your video of the reaction to season 8.
Dude, man.
No, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Because I am completely and totally unaware, or I was at least until my older brother, who is now trolling our text message feed between him and I. I had no idea that the character of Viper had become like,
it's a cult, dude. It's the cult of Viper, man. 100%.
Which is, I'm not gonna lie, totally awesome. Because when I lived in Los Angeles, I had the chance to audition for a lot of mocap stuff, voiceover stuff, games, things of that nature. It's well past the point I can talk about a few. Like I auditioned both for mocap and for voice for Assassin's Creed. I think which one was it? This was in 2014. I don't remember off the top of my head which one it was. I had auditioned for EA before for some voices. And I never gotten anything, and that's okay. Like, you audition for a billion things and you hope to get one. And so basically how it went down was when you get an audition, usually how it works is you get a notification from your agent or your manager, and it says, you have an audition for project whatever. And usually with video games, because people can figure out what they are pretty easily, it's usually it's usually Untitled Video Game Project whatever. And it might say the developer or it might say the publisher, but they try to give you as little information as possible. So when I saw this one, I thought that I was going to be doing a voiceover audition again for maybe Battlefield or something like that.
Right.
I was aware of Titanfall 1, but it just didn't dawn on me. So I get the lines, I do the audition.
What do they have you say? What do they have you say in the audition?
So actually in the audition,
that's what I'm curious about.
So in the audition for this one, it's been a while. This is 2016, early 2016.
Right.
But they give you like a truncated version of the lines that end up in the game. So I think one of the lines was the 5x5 Viper in the pipe.
Yeah, I've got you in the pipe 5x5. Yeah, exactly.
Right, which when I'm doing that, I'm thinking of the movie Aliens, where they're doing the dropship scene, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not a woman, but if I could, if I were her, I'd be Viper in the pipe 5x5. And I did the audition, and I think it was 3 or 4 lines, and there ended up being in the actual recording, which was done at Warner Brothers Studios. But in the actual audition, there's like 3 or 4 lines, and then the final copy is like 2 or 3 pages with the guys from Respawn, who are the coolest guys in the world. They're super cool, down to earth. We BS'd a bunch, had a lot of fun doing it. But I did the audition and then forgot about it.
Oh, wow.
And then maybe a month or 2 later, I don't remember the exact time frame, my agent, Yulia Rodriguez, who's still my agent, even though I'm now living in the Midwest again. She calls me. She's like, "Are you available tomorrow?" Well, what's the gig? She's like, "You got to do voiceover for that game that you auditioned for at Warner Brothers Studios." Like, I'm of course I'm available tomorrow.
Right.
I was having surgery, but I'm canceling it to go to work. So that's not actually true. But whatever I was doing, I'm sure I put it aside so that I could go do it. And you know, it was like about 6 or 8 hours in the booth. And I'm not gonna lie, like I had no idea after I did that, you know, because a lot of people may or may not be aware. I'm guessing you're aware, but Titanfall 2 came out at the worst possible time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like coming out between Call of Duty and
Battlefield.
Like, and one of the games, you know, being made by EA, it's just like,
it's like, why would you make that choice?
Do that like maybe a month earlier or later. But you know, so a lot of people weren't aware of it. But you know, if you actually go back and look at the reviews of the game, like very innovative. You know, they changed a lot that people complained about the first game in terms of, you know, having it only be multiplayer online and all that stuff. But it was so much fun to just like stand in the booth, and they literally let you just do, you know, they want you to nail the lines to a certain degree, but then after a while, it's like, all right, now just, you know, say whatever, do whatever.
Right.
Voice, just have fun.
So then what lines were written by them, and then what did you come up with that made it to the game, or do you know?
I honestly, if I'm thinking back, most of the stuff they came up with, but they let me do like just some adding on to the end of lines.
Okay.
Like I think if memory serves me, with the 5x5 line, which is I think my personal favorite because it's just fun to say. I think I did one version where it's like Viper in the pipe, 5x5, heading down, or what was another one? I wish I could pull up. I used to have the script because I saved it on my computer, and I think it got purged in an email purge on accident.
Right.
But you know, they're just like, you know, put your, you know, pace it this way, do it this way, and then, you know, add something on to the end. So when we were doing the Apec's Legends season 8 recording, which I think we did maybe months ago at this point.
Okay.
Most of it actually does not end up in it.
Right.
I think the final tally on the lines, you know, there's like 3 or 4 lines in the actual Apec's Legends 8-minute long trailer. But when we were doing it, you know, they're just like, all right, now just, you know, what would Viper say to his daughter? You like, you know, she's, you know, crashing and burning in his Titan. What would he say to her? You know, and I just made some stuff up, you know, like, Kyrie, what are you doing? Kyrie, stop being an idiot. You know, it's just like random things. They don't use, but, you know, we have to laugh at when we're recording. It's just, it is like, as someone who, and I'll date myself, as someone who grew up playing ColecoVision, and Atari, to fast forward, you know, 35, 37 years, and, you know, be asked to, you know, make stuff up for what is really, you know, I think I read somewhere that, you know, when it was released on Steam shortly, a little while ago, they had like 17,000 concurrent players or something like that.
I think the record currently, we actually had May 1st was Titanfall Day. So me and a bunch of other people got together. I know like Iniquity and a bunch of other bigger content creators were in it. And they were like, you know, we should all get on and play on May 1st. Because then it was because of the trailer that really sparked it. And I think we got like 30,000 people on computer. Like I play PC. So I think we had about 30,000 people on. And it was just, I mean, it was incredible to see that many people playing the game. I was pretty overwhelmed by it.
And I think that's amazing because I missed it. And my brother, my older brother, who is also a gamer, and he's a big PC gamer, he builds his own PCs for fun. Like he's bored and he builds. You know, he was telling me about this after it happened, and I was like, well, I wish I would have known, because I at least would have like hopped on. I would have come over to your house and hopped on the Xbox, and, you know, I could have trolled some people or something. I don't know.
Start doing the voice lines in the game.
Yeah.
Like, exactly.
You know, and I probably would have been getting my what handed to me. I readily admit it, but at least it would have been fun to be like, "Why are you shooting at Viper right now?" Like, and just see what people how they would react.
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of stuff is funny. So
that would be funny. There's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people that do that online, where they go on and do impersonations of like celebrities and people in the game, and just try and get reactions out of people. I mean, I honestly, that's one of the things I was going to ask you, is if you play video games. So to hear that you have been playing for so long, you mentioned like Atari and stuff like that, and that's, I mean, it's dated, but you know, when I grew up, my parents put me in front of an Atari when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't imagine being asked to do a voice in a game. Now, did they give you like descriptions on the character or like what he would be like at all? Or did they just say like, go in and do these lines however you want to do them?
So usually what happens with voiceover, at least in my experience, is so as an example, I was the voice of the Harley Davidson a few years ago. They were going to be coming out, and I think they finally are coming out with an all electric motorcycle. And I was the voice for their inside their stores promotions. So when you get something like that, you know, you basically get notes from the casting director. It's like, okay, we want it, you know, try to emulate this person or try to emulate this type of voice.
Okay.
One of the ones that I used to get a lot, which I'm not going to lie, if someone, you know, told me right now, hey, guess what? So they're doing another new Batman game and Kevin Conroy is retiring. Would you like to? Of course I would.
Right.
But that's the ones that actually comes up a lot because it's that iconic voice. So for this, if memory serves me, the original request was deep and gravelly, along the lines of like a Clint Eastwood type voice.
Okay.
But slow, but like more monotone even, because if you listen to the Viper lines, like aside from when, you know, the player is, you know, beating the crap out of me, he's very just like level, like nothing bothers. And so I remember when I did the first read for the audition, you know, I just went in there and was like, okay, what's the, you know, I believe I have a fairly naturally deep voice, but you got to kind of like drop it down even more into that like really, really like robotic freakiness. Right. And so I remember just doing that and thinking to myself, like, would anyone be frightened of this guy? Like, I mean, it seems like he's a villain character, at least for this game. So I guess, okay, like whatever works. And when they said, you know, that was what they picked me on, was off of that, like, you know, gravelly, like we really wanted something right down here where the player is going to be shooting at you and you're just cool as a cucumber. Like, all right, cool. Right. Like do that. It sounds like fun. So
yeah. Well, see, that's what, whenever I mean, Viper's always my favorite character. I got my girlfriend to paint me a picture of him, actually, and I usually have it hanging on my wall.
Yeah, where you had it.
Have you seen that one? Yeah, that was my girlfriend who did that. Yeah, and it was kind of funny. Yeah, that's the plan, but she might have heard that. She might have, you never know. But it was just like, so growing up, I watched like all these like 80s and 90s action movies, and I was like, this reminds me of like Goose from Top Gun, or like these like fighter pilot-esque characters who they seem like you could do anything to them and just nothing. Like even whenever, like in the scene, whenever you, like the character's finally killed and he's like hanging out of his tight and you finally shoot him, like there's absolutely no reaction, nothing. And what do you think people like saw in Viper that they just like sort of liked, I guess, is the easiest way to put it?
I actually think it's kind of what you said. Because, you know, if you think back to movies like Top Gun, The Rock, On Air, you know, stuff like any Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, basically from 1994 to 1996. It was kind of that like macho, but like real, like nothing bothers him, and like you know, the one-liners from those movies.
Oh, the one-liners.
Like I think probably because he's like a robotic kind of just, you know, cool. Nothing is going to phase him. Nothing is going to rattle his cage, so to speak. He's just going to come out there and he's going to hunt you down and he is going to make you pay, but he's going to do it in a way where not for a second does he think that you actually have the advantage. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much you throw at him. He's just so seasoned. And I think they kind of like appreciate that type of like 80s action vibe, because like nowadays, we live in the MCU world, and it's not bad. It's just different. Like,
it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different. And, I think that you could picture, an 80s action star, like in the movie version, climbing out of the Titan, and just being like, here I am, and I am ready to now take you down, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Like Goose, or Val Kilmer when he was playing Iceman in the same movie. Nothing bothered him, and he just flew perfectly and knew that he was going to take you. I think that probably latched on to that. I mean, my brother jokes with me. He's like, there's probably fan fiction out there with Viper. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to know if there's like,
there's fan fiction for everything.
There is.
Absolutely everything. Viper as a character, whenever we got to see him in the game, like, wasn't very fleshed out. And I think that's one of the things that I was so excited for with season 8 and seeing it be called like North Star, because that's the Titan I play in the game too when I play multiplayer, and that was kind of cool too. But seeing that title and then going in and watching the trailer live and just seeing Viper and then get to seeing like more of him, you get to not only see the pilot side, but you get to see this like role as a father, and it just kind of fleshes the character out instead of one that you just he's the best boss in the game. You get to fight him for 20 minutes, and that's he kind of reminds me of Boba Fett from Star Wars, if that makes any sense. He's the bounty hunter that basically says nothing, and then after that, he becomes the favorite character, and then they actually add story to him, which is something I hope they do going forward. But I thought that was really cool, at least for me.
Yeah, I watching the trailer. First of all, great stash. I mean,
oh yeah,
mustache. I was very impressed. I cannot grow that epic of a mustache ever. But it was like, the way that the trailer opens, with Kyrie, and the doors open slowly, and and then the guns come out and it's stuff. It's like, oh, this is gonna be cool. Like, this is gonna be really cool. And then to see the flashback after she's interacting with Blisk, obviously, but to see the flashback and she's like looking at everything, and she wants so desperately to follow in her father's footsteps, and he definitely does not want that, because he knows,
yeah, he does.
I believe as a character how dangerous what he's doing is. And the way I looked at it is, as a father, like, you do these things so that your kids don't have to. You do these things so that when they're older, they never have to even think about it. And then, of course, obviously in the game, he dies, and that motivates her even more, seemingly. But to see those minor little interactions between the two characters, and especially near the end of the trailer when they're flying together and he takes the helmet on.
Oh man,
that stuff is really sweet. And having kids now myself, little things in real life like that, where you're like, hand your kids like, I go downstairs into my basement and, playing video games with my son, and it's like, I'm showing him how to do it. It's like, all right, now it's your turn. Just don't blow up the television. Don't throw any, everything will be fine. It's those little things in the game, I think, that are going to flesh it out. And it's cool. It's really cool that Viper is, I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool. Like,
that surprised you?
Well, okay, so earlier, before we hopped on, my older brother, again, I keep going back to my older brother, because he gets a bigger kick out of this than I think even I do. He was sending me screen caps of comments from a bunch of different Viper videos. One of them said to the effect of, I wonder how much it would, or I wonder if I could pay the guy who does the voice of Viper to read me a bedtime story every night. And
that's great.
And then someone else was just like, this one might be a little inappropriate, but I'm assuming it's a girl, but she was, the person was like, I really just like the way he says going down right now. And I'm just like, okay, don't let my wife that one.
But she's talking about the character, not you, so it doesn't, no worries.
Exactly. So, but you know, and I'm reading these things, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, this is interesting. This is
a bit different.
It's a bit different because like most of the stuff that I had the privilege of doing when I was acting in Hollywood was mostly TV and film. You know, mostly like smaller stuff, a few things like on Netflix, Showtime, miniseries on AMC.
The Making of the Mob series, right?
Yeah, Making of the Mob, which was so much fun to do. You get to walk around and play gangster for, a few weeks in West Virginia. That's doubling as New York City in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. You don't necessarily get aware of that as much, but like video games and game, we are hardcore.
Yeah.
So when my wife and I first got together many years ago, GTA 5 had just come out, and I was intent on building up my online character any way I could at that time. And so I was one of the people who took the controller and took the rubber band and wrapped it around the controller, and then put my headset with the machine gun sound next to it so that I could sleep and simultaneously get like RP and build up my character. Totally cheating. Whatever. But I remember when we first got there, she's like, is that noise going to be going on all night long? Because I'm trying to sleep, and you've got that going on, and we've got 2 dogs in the bed with us, and this is insane. Like, I get, but like, gamers are really hardcore about their games, particularly the ones that we love. And to know that there are people out there, like who are commenting like hundreds of comments like on your videos and like on other videos that are just like talking about like how much fun it is, like to blow my head off.
There was a whole joke about I'm so glad that they have added Valkyrie to Apex. I can't wait to like end Viper's bloodline finally, or something like that. Like to like kill her in game. I thought that was hilarious.
It's so much fun though. Like, to think that people are that invested in a game, and then in specific characters and in their history and in like battling them, that they want to do that, that they think about that, they talk about that. Like it's really cool. It's a little, so like the 2 I shared with you, like there's some that are odd, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? Enjoy it. Like, I went to Comic-Con back in actually I think it was the year before actually that the game got released, and I was going to I had planned, and my wife actually got us I used to get the like the entertainer's badge thing, basically. Improve, that you work in the industry, they give you special rates, blah blah blah. And so my wife actually bought it for us, and then we ended up going on our honeymoon to Jamaica instead, and completely and totally missed Comic-Con. But I went the year before, walking around like to all the different booths and everything, and this is when they were really ramping up with like Disney Marvel was there, and Warner Brothers there, and then there were all these like, it's just so, to me, growing up as a comic book nerd and a gamer, it was just like so cool. And I wanted like to go back, not in 2016, but in 2017, I wanted to try to go back because, the game had been released, and I was gonna either make, which I'm not very skillful at, or do something and like just walk around and try to like talk to people as Viper and see. And I didn't get a chance to do it. But now
that'd be kind of interesting if you could like, I've always wanted to get someone to make me a helmet, or like find someone that would make me like a 3D printed helmet of his, but I have yet to find anyone who can do it. I've seen people do pilot helmets, but I haven't seen anyone do Viper's helmet just yet.
Yeah, I think it would probably be doable. You just have to do it like in sections, and because my older brother, I keep going back to my older brother. Sorry, this whole thing. He loves 3D printing, and I've asked him to 3D crazy things. And he would probably say that if you printed it in sections and then kind of, you know, molded it together at the end, you could probably do it.
Yeah, I would just do it so I could have it on my my mantle or my desk, and then paint it up with all the colors and stuff. Not even to wear it, just to look at it, make it look pretty, that kind of thing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I bet, and see, like, that's, you know, I grew up playing games ever since I was a kid, and I probably got into comic books around 10 years old. I've yet to go to Comic-Con though. So did you see any like gaming stuff, or was it all like Marvel and DC and the sort of the comic book universe?
It's actually so when I went, let me see, that was the year that they were promoting, what was the big movie that
They probably
they
been
were,
doing Avengers at the time, or one of the Avengers movies, I would think.
I think they were, I know for a fact that Batman v Superman
Okay, yeah.
was because Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck were there, and they were
Mm.
getting, literally had to separate, like, part the seas so they could
Yeah.
leave their.
Henry Cavill's a big gamer too. He's the Witcher now, and he apparently plays like all the games and reads all the books and all that stuff.
Absolutely, which I think is totally awesome. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I'm sure that you have seen, or at least seen part of him building his own rig.
Yeah.
Like, dude, cool. Like,
Yeah.
you're a gamer. That's really cool.
I saw someone, I saw an interviewer ask him and say, you know, do you play on console or PC? And he had this absolute look of disgust on his face, and he goes, PC, of course. You know, being the guy that builds his own computers, I thought that was really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, Comic-Con, there was a lot of comic book stuff, there was a lot of movie stuff. I remember that, oh boy, I'm trying to remember. So I remember walking around and seeing they had just finished World of Warcraft, the movie, Warcraft movie. So they had all the costumes, and they had models and everything of everybody there. But there definitely was, like, you know, people at Comic-Con, they just like whatever they're into. I remember very vividly seeing someone who built their own from the comic books of Thanos.
Oh, wow.
7.5 feet tall.
Right.
And they figured out a way to like rig it so they could walk in it and see through the middle, and it like move the arm. It was amazing stuff. But there's definitely, like, you know, Comic-Con used to be all about comics, and now it's about pop culture, basically. But you know, I was there with my ex.
Oh no.
Yeah, we were there as friends. But it was, you know, we were walking around, and I remember a friend of mine, she was working a booth that was dedicated to like an indie game that she had worked on, and I apologize, the name escapes me. But you know, there was just all kinds of craziness at Comic-Con, and I do recommend anyone who can go once it, you know, opens back up.
Right.
Probably
that's on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah, it's worth it. Like, if you're a gamer, or if you're a geek, or if you are into comic books or movies or pop culture, or anything along those lines, it's definitely worth a go. I'm trying to think, it's been a while, and it's kind of overwhelming too, because like, it's huge, and it's spilled over the years. It's now spilled out into like the surrounding areas. So it's not just at the convention center anymore. It's literally across the street, and the restaurants are rented out, and blah blah blah. But it's definitely really cool. And I know that I saw a bunch of gaming stuff there as well. But the big thing was that was the year that it was Batman versus Superman. So they had their own panel, and then I believe it was. I know that I did get to go see Kevin Smith speak, which was really awesome. He had just done that. Oh God, I'm gonna forget the name of the movie. But I remember that we were in a panel for what was it? Was it Firefly? Yeah, I think we were in a panel for Firefly.
Okay.
And my ex's phone goes off. She's like, Kevin Smith is speaking like in an empty Hall H. Like, they cleared out, and he's just speaking there, and there's no wait. And I was like, well, let's go. So we go, and we saw Kevin Smith speak, and he was promoting a movie with his and Johnny Depp's daughter that Johnny Depp also was in, which is really, yeah, I'm on a tangent now, but
go for it. I love all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, here I'll show you something that I did get.
Oh, please.
At Comic-Con that year. So, I'm not sure if you are a fan or not of Kill Bill.
I am. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
is that the katana? Oh, wow.
So this is one of two. So this is Michael Madsen,
mm-hmm.
Who Bud. I just missed. They had the Bride's sword, and they just sold it. So this is actually a real. This is actually a real one. So it's a full tang all the way to the bottom of the handle.
Okay.
And actually, let me turn it around. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep, it's my brother Bud, the only man I ever loved, Bill.
Yep.
Yep. So I love that.
We were walking around Comic-Con, and we came across this is the company that actually made. So to my understanding, in the movies, the way that they do it is they have an aluminum sword for like the sound and stuff like that. They have rubber ones that are going full out, or wood ones. And then for the close-ups, so that they look really real, they have real swords. And so this was two that were used in the movie. And Michael Madsen signed both of them. And I got the last one at Comic-Con that year. Again, there with my ex. But she was just like, you never buy yourself anything. You never bought yourself anything when we were together. Buy this. Asked the guy how much it was, and he told me, and I was like,
yeah, you probably paid for all the things that you never bought yourself in that one purchase.
Okay, it's the last one. Okay, I'll take it. And they actually had it wrapped up and shipped to me.
Okay.
Like a week
later.
You
probably can't take that on a plane, can you?
No,
they wouldn't let that.
Not want me traveling with this particular sword. But
I can't imagine why. I cannot imagine why.
But it's funny. I have it comes with a stand as well, and it actually, everything on it says Hattori Hanzo. But it was actually made, if I'm understanding correctly, it was actually made by this a company that works with a company in Japan to make these, if I'm remembering correctly, and I apologize if I'm not. But yeah, so this was like my one gift to myself from
at Comic-Con.
Aside from what else did I get? I got a Chewbacca the Wookiee bathrobe, because why not?
Exactly.
And Wolverine bathrobe as well, but the comic book version, the yellow with the blue and everything, and that one actually head that you put up on it, and it's got the eye slits.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have those anymore because they got worn through, because I love to wear them. But yeah, it's yeah. I try to keep this thing away from my kids, because Lord knows what they'll do with it. So
exactly. So like, you're a gamer, and I looked up, once I figured out that you basically only ever really did Viper as like your only like gaming voice, I guess, unless you have others. I couldn't really find anything else. I went through and looked at to make sure you were who you said you were. I went to your YouTube and watched all your stuff. I want to make sure 100%.
So sorry about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was surprised at the I don't know what the actual like technical color word of art is, but the amount of different things that you can do, like the southern voices, the just all the different characters you can play. What besides the whole voice with Viper, what other acting bits have you done that you really enjoyed or really liked, or just, I don't think a lot of people know that you're this, like you're an actual actor just beyond you doing Viper,
So I think other than Viper, so to rewind, when I was younger, I always knew that I wanted to act. My father wanted me to have a backup career. So when I was in my early 20s, I tricked him, and I went to broadcasting school. And so I was actually a reporter, a news reporter in my hometown here in Cincinnati, Ohio, back in early 2000s. And then I got an opportunity to go and work on a project in Los Angeles with a guy from here who had moved out there. And so I took that opportunity. And I would probably say that my favorites were, I worked, let me see. Oh God, I gotta, the AMC series, definitely. And for those who don't know, Making of the Mob is an AMC series that's it's an amalgamation of real life footage, commentary, and then recreation. And I did a lot of the recreation stuff. I play a gentleman in that series. His real name was Louis Buckalter. They called him Lepke. And he was actually one of the heads of Murder Incorporated back in the 1930s and 40s. He was the first gangster in the United States of America to actually be put in the electric chair. And
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And ironically enough, when we were filming in West Virginia, the first day we got there, myself and the other actors playing the other mobsters were walking around, and they had this huge warehouse. And up on one of the shelves, they had an electric chair. And I look at the producer, I was like, please, I'm begging you, tell me that we're actually going to film the electrocution scene. He was like, well, if we have time, like, I will shave my head, like film everything else. I will shave my head bald if
just
you will
to do
let
it.
And we didn't get a chance to. And
oh, no.
I was sad because that was because it's that kind of like, I'm not going to name the name of the person, but we were filming on set one day, and one of the actors who was a New York actor who'd done a lot of TV, we were driving from set back to holding, and he was kind of complaining about, I got to be back in New York tomorrow because I have my audition for, I think it was Law and Order or something, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And and they didn't have the time that he was going to be cut at the end of the day official yet. And he's just, it's him and me and like 5 or 6 other people in this van, and they're all just sitting there quietly. And after he takes like a breath, and I'm like, hey guys, what time is it? And they're like, oh, it's like 3 o'clock. It's like, you know what? It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we're getting paid pretty good money to play make-believe for a living. That's kind of awesome, don't you? And he was in the front seat. He stopped talking.
Yeah, bit of a reality check, I think.
Right. Like, what else? Like, how good can you have it to be complaining that you're already playing make-believe, and then you have an audition to play make-believe on another show like a day later? So that one was a lot of fun. I did let me see. There was this one, I guess I shouldn't, well, it's a reality show that was on Spike TV about these guys who, in real life, they are actually repo men. And they also, they basically, they kick people out of apartments when they're squatting and stuff like that.
Right.
And I got to do some fun parkour stuff on that. Basically,
so you basically became a Titanfall pilot, is what you're telling me.
It was a lot of fun. I was playing like a bourgeois artist who's squatting in this apartment in Santa Monica, and initially they wanted me because I used to do Muay Thai and kickboxing, and they wanted me to beat up these 2 guys who were about my height, but the size of small tanks. And when we got on set, the director, and he was just like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but I don't know if anyone will buy it. What else? I was like, well, I mean, I could do some, some flips and some stuff. Like, what do you like? What do you want? So we ended up doing a chase scene, and I jump off this roof and do a front flip onto this thing and like escape into the streets. And, so that one was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think. So the one that I think I enjoyed, the one that I did that my kids enjoyed the most, which was the biggest pain in the world to actually film. It's the movie called Santa Claus.
I heard that. Yeah, I saw that one.
So Santa Claus, CLAWS, was actually done by the Asylum. And people might not know the Asylum, but the Asylum are the people who brought us all the Sharknado movies. So when I initially auditioned for them, it was after the first Sharknado had come out. I was like, please, for the love of God, please let this be for Sharknado 2. I don't get I don't care if I get my body ripped out, just please. And it ended up being for this movie called Santa Claus. And it was basically 3 weeks in North Hollywood in the middle of summer, doubling as winter. And I am basically the whole time, wearing like bathrobes and pajamas. And it was so much fun to film because those guys are nuts and they're super cool. But the problem is that they used real cats, and real cats suck when it comes to getting them to do anything that you, and they had these 2 professional cat wranglers, which I didn't know was an actual job.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
And they had to get cats, and they literally had to find cats that were identical to each other and swap them out because cats just don't do it. I think at one point, one of the cats tried to climb up a tree, and we had to try to get the cat down. But that one was fun because in the final version of the movie, you know, my kids love it because it's me just basically getting punked for 90 minutes. Me with macaroni and spaghetti falling on me. Me sliding on a skateboard into a pool. You know, basically me getting punked. And I think my kids really appreciate it. I know my nieces and nephews do as well. So that one was kind of a pain to film with the cat section, but it was a lot of fun to film with the guys who make all the Sharknado movies, right? Because they're really cool. You know, and then, you know, a lot of actors, you know, starting off, like, did a lot of short films and then did like a couple of web series, which were fun. I did do this one pilot that unfortunately never got picked up, but I had to walk around playing an Australian for basically a week straight on set. And that one was really gratifying because one of the production assistants was actually from Australia.
Okay.
End of the shoot, he asked me where I was from in Australia. And I told him, well, you know, mate, I'm from Ohio. So not really from, you know, anywhere in Australia. And he's like, wait, where are you from? And I was like, Ohio, you never heard of it? It's like a place in the Midwest. Like, you know, it's just this little you know, right. I'm not Australian. So I prided myself on that type of thing that I can throw on. Like, my rule of thumb is if you give me about a week and tell me do X accent, I can generally get it down. Like the one that I love to do for my daughter, and I don't think that she's aware necessarily of who Kermit the Frog is, but you know, she's a funny voice, so I like to do it for her.
Just know the Muppets are.
She is vaguely aware. Like I see that they're more into like the Netflix stuff, like in Paw Patrol and things of that nature. But I think she likes it because it sounds really nasally. And you know, Miss Piggy, what are you doing right now? So it's a kick out of that as a 4-year-old. But you know, I could always pick up voices, and so a lot of the stuff that I ended up going out for while I lived in Los Angeles was for stuff with voices. And you know, like I was saying to you earlier, you know, I got a chance to audition for some really cool games, and never, you know, and this was the one that I got that I'm really grateful that I did. You know, but in the game world, you know, there are your names, like, you know, Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy, like these people who like do multiple voices across a wide spectrum. You know, and I would have loved, and to this day, I tell my agent, like, any video game voiceover work, that send it my way. I know, I mean, I got my studio up here. I've got my setup. I can kick my whole family out of the house for 8 hours at a time. They can go find something to do. I'd be more than happy to do it. And they still come up every once in a while. But like when I got the call from her saying, hey, you know, they obviously didn't want to say what it was for. You know, was it for Titanfall 3, which would have made not a lot of sense, or was it something else? I was just like, yeah, of course. Like, sign me up. Like, I'm all about it. So
it was pretty surreal to see you even comment on my video and even get the chance to do this. And you're a lot. I don't know what I think of when I think of people who do acting and having small people say, hey, will you do an interview with me? And you know, actually say yes. I was just kind of surprised. You know.
No, I mean, you know, I would. So I did have, I don't know if I would call it the privilege or if I would call it something else, but I did, when I lived in LA, I got to go to certain functions and events with, you know, people of a certain standing, and I'm not going to, you know, name names or out anybody or anything like that. And I think that, I think whether people mean to or not, sometimes they forget where they've been or where they came from. And I never considered myself to be that special or that big. But I also know that it's like just fun to talk about this stuff with people who appreciate it.
Right.
And you know, I tell my wife, you know, because it was actually it was her idea. We wanted our kids to have a normal upbringing. And my theory about Los Angeles is, you know, if you live in the Midwest, like you can go out of your way to find trouble. But if you live in LA, trouble can find you really quickly. Like LA, New York, Miami, Chicago, trouble finds you.
The big cities, yeah.
We wanted our kids to have more of a normal upbringing. So it was her idea to move back here. So I always tell her, you know, because she'll ask, like, do you ever regret it? And I was like, you know, my ego does a little bit. But at the same time, for 15 years, I got to, you know, kind of do what I wanted to do. And I had way more success in a lot of ways than people that I moved out there with. And then there are people that I moved out there with who blew up huge and, you know, wouldn't take my phone call now if, you know, if my life depended upon it. And that's okay. But, you know, I think when it comes to just, you know, no matter what in life, always appreciate people. Like always appreciate people and always appreciate people who you know, who find your work to be, you know, fun and enjoyable. Like, I mean, I think it's cool. I really do. You know, and if I'd ever, you know, in my mind, I imagine that if I'd ever, you know, attained what my ego wanted me to attain, like be more, you know, be more Henry Cavill than certain other people. You know, you know, I watch, one of the channels that I watch fairly often, you may or may not be aware of it, is The Quartering. And it's like a social commentary, but it does a lot of stuff talking about movies and things like that. And he's got this love-hate relationship with a certain actress who plays a certain superhero in a certain Marvel movie that may or may have, you know, crossed the $1 billion mark a couple of years ago. And the rumors around Hollywood about this particular person, this particular actress, from secondary interactions with people who know this person, like I watch his videos and I'm like, all true. And it's like, don't, you know, just be appreciative, you know, like don't, you know, don't try to strong arm. Don't just like, you know what, we cliche as it might sound to say something this silly, like, you know, we're all here. We're all, you know, trying to live our best life, I hope. And so, yeah, basically how I commented on your video, going back to it, was, you know, a couple weeks ago on Memorial Day weekend, we're sitting around, my family's asking me about this and I'm telling them, oh yeah, I just did, you know, another voiceover not too long ago for this trailer. And my brother's sitting there and he's like scrolling, he's like, you got like videos dedicated to you. Like, did you know? I was like, really? And
so your character, yeah.
The first one that came up, and I was like, I'll comment. Why not? And then when you replied and you were like, oh, I was like, how's it going? You know, like, because, you know, like,
you never make a video about a character expecting the voice actor to comment on it. You know what I mean?
Well, my parents, of course, now are like, you should do like cameos and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, I don't know. Not my thing necessarily, but it's like, you know, but I do, like, I like talking about this kind of stuff. I mean, you know, like I said, my son is a gamer. You know, right now he switches between Apex Legends and he plays like the Jurassic Park park builder simulator.
I know what you're talking about.
And Roblox. And after we're done here, I'll probably go play some Roblox with him for a little while. You know, he's a gamer. My wife's not a gamer. You know,
and my girlfriend plays Mario Kart, and that's about it.
Right. You know, she'll she'll play either Mario Kart or like, Wii bowling,
right,
which is fun. Good, it's fun. But to get to talk about this stuff with people is cool because like, we gamers,
I always feel like there's an understanding between people that, especially I think Titanfall's got one of the more dedicated player bases out of any game. Like, I know that the people that love that game, absolutely, like, there's nothing else that comes close to it. And I think the people that love something kind of understand that whenever it matters, it's kind of like, this really matters. We all care for it, and we're just going to really enjoy it and have fun with it together. And it's like a bond that doesn't, it's like, goes past age and generations and everything else, which is always kind of cool.
I would agree with that. I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to sit down and just shoot the what and not even just about like not even just about the character, but just like games in general. I mean, we're kind of coming into a new realm of gaming. I mean, like realistic,
right,
is doing some insane things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're getting closer and closer to that, to that point where, augmented and virtual comes, this close to.
Yeah, I've got my virtual headset right up there, so I'm waiting for when I can like jump into it and feel it.
We got my son, or actually, let me rephrase. I want to be fair. My parents got my son
right.
the PlayStation VR headset.
Okay, yeah.
Thing that he likes to do. He likes to play Super Hot.
Oh yeah, I know what that game is.
And Beat Saber.
And yeah, that's another popular one.
I'm just like, you are.
I've never played Beat Saber, but I've played a couple shooters on there, and it's another world, and it's super fun. So whenever they like bring it up to speed with like how, I guess, like intuitive and like realistic, like just regular PC games are, I think it's going to be just a whole nother level of things,
It is. It's funny. Like going back to our earlier conversation, or the earlier part of this conversation. I mean, legitimately remember Pong.
Oh yeah.
I legitimately remember playing Pong as a kid, and to see where we are now, and to see like where we're going to be with video games, and just with CGI and technology in general, is just, it's insane. I mean,
yeah, it definitely is.
If I were 25 again, man, oh.
I mean, I'm the last of 6, and my dad is 77. Like, all my siblings are much older than I am, and I'm the baby. And he's the reason I got into games. Like, he's been playing since like Doom, the 1993 version.
Yes.
And like, I remember him sitting me down, and he was like, this is Halo. It's on an Xbox, and that I was like hooked for the rest of my life. I'm like, I have to play games. And it's always interesting to see, because like, obviously your son plays now, and it's like passing it down. I'm sure whenever I have kids eventually, I'll be like, here's a controller. Here's Titanfall. You have to play this game first, and then you can play everything else after that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I remember Doom. I remember like Duke Nukem. Not
yeah. I know what you're talking about. The original platformer Duke Nukem.
Which was like not appropriate for
not even 3D is, to be quite fair, but
yeah, really, it's not. But it's like, I remember like being a kid, and it was like all of a sudden you went, because when I started playing on PC back in what was that, like the late 80s, early 90s, my big thing back then was like RPGs. I loved RPGs.
Right, okay. So did you play stuff like Hexen and Heretic? Or like what other kind of games? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but like even before that, there were games. So I might botch this, and I apologize if I do. There was a company called Sierra Games, and Sierra Games made, back in the day, the Leisure Suit Larry series. They made this other series called Police Quest, and what was there was this one that was Space Quest. Yeah, Space Quest. And when all these games first came out, they were sprites. Like, they were sprites. games. And all of a sudden, like, it went to 4 colors, and you were like,
wow.
Oh my God, 4 colors. And then they went to 16 colors, and it was like 16 colors, and they're redoing the original. Oh my God, this is. And then all of a sudden, like, wake up one day, and it's like the Neo Geo is coming out, and it's 256-bit, and it's like, oh my God, look at this, is incredible. Look at all, and then fast, and it's like the PlayStation, like, what is this? So, like, what is the Genesis? Like, what in the world is going? And I mean, I have literally had, in a lot of ways, like, the privilege of seeing, being just old enough to literally see, like, almost the birth of, like, video games to, like, the first, I think the first Atari came out in like 72 or 75 or something like that. So but like, it was still like that, like when I was a kid, like that was still it. I would go over to my friend's place, and we would play like the original Donkey Kong, and we would play Pitfall, and now it's like, literally, you've got people voicing characters in video games, and having short films made about them, and full-length feature films made about video games. I mean, it's incredible. And so I love talking about that kind of stuff because, I'm not going to talk about it with my wife. We feel housewives of whatever a lot.
Right.
Super fun. So to be able to just like, to just talk about games in general is always cool for me. So I do appreciate it. I appreciate that you wanted to talk to my lanky self. So
a couple last questions. So what's your favorite game? Like, doesn't have to be recent or anything like that. Do you have like, or even like a franchise? Like, because for me, it's probably Halo, because that's like what I grew up playing. Yeah. So do you have like a favorite franchise or a favorite game?
Final Fantasy III, Super Nintendo.
Okay. I played the first one, and that was about it.
So Final Fantasy III, so my brothers and I, we got a Nintendo, and then we got a Super Nintendo collectively, a few years apart as our Christmas present, basically. My older brother and I played Final Fantasy II, in the States version of Final Fantasy II. I don't remember what it was on the Super Famicom over in Japan. But then they came out with Final Fantasy III. And Final Fantasy III, basically the first game that I can recall where you start off playing as this one character, and then you build up your group, split apart into divergent stories that then all come back together at the end. And I just remember, like, we were not going to stop until we beat this game. And, and it, like 80 hours of playing, and just like, and my older brother had to beat it his way. I had to beat it mine. That was probably, growing up, my all-time favorite game. I think now, I would probably say, I hate to say it, the last game that I actually was able to play from beginning to end and beat was GTA 5.
Wow, so it's been that long.
Yeah. Like, so I still play online, and I'll still play GTA online when I can. Like, I got Red Dead Redemption 2, and I started it. Yeah.
That's a great game. Yeah, that's a good game.
Everyone tells me, dude, you got to finish it. I'm like, finish it. And but like, yeah, like when GTA 5 came out in, what was it, 2013? That was the last game that I was actually able to pick up and play all the way through. I was single then, no responsibilities. So I'm going to beat this game. And that was the last time I got to really pick up and play.
See, and now they're talking about making up a new one. They're talking about GTA 6 coming out. When that one comes out, you got to find a way to play that one.
Well, so what I will do sometimes, if my lovely bride falls asleep, and if my kids will actually cooperate, I will sneak into the basement, and I will try to play a little. Like, I want to get into Red Dead Redemption, but I know that I need to have, like, they need to be on vacation for a weekend without me or something. I can, like, dedicate the time. I want to, I will play Apec with him. And he kind of is like, Dad, how are you like good at this? Like you're old. How can you actually be good at these? At like
Like
I
I've
don't
been
get it.
doing this, for 3 times the length of your age, son.
Exactly. So I will play that with him, but like, yeah, GTA was like the last game that I actually got to play through. But Final Fantasy 3 was my favorite growing up. When the PlayStation came out, I bought and destroyed Final Fantasy 7, the 3-disc version.
Right.
And or was it 4? Yeah, it was 3 discs. I want to say 3 discs on the PlayStation, if memory serves me.
They're coming out. I think they had a remastered version a couple of years ago. That one.
Yeah.
Maybe it was longer. I can't remember. But I remember because Final Fantasy VII was like that was like the one that defined the franchise of Final Fantasy. So I think they came out with a remastered version of that one pretty recently, I think.
Yeah, they did. Which I haven't had a chance to play. I've seen like all the stuff online about it, but I haven't had a chance to play it. But for me, it's more like, you know what? I beat this on the PlayStation. Kind of proud of that. I'm gonna kind of hang my hat on that one and let it fly.
So who do you play in Apex Legends?
Oh boy. I usually let him choose because he just like was so we were downstairs probably what is oh god, I'm gonna botch this and I'm gonna feel really stupid for doing so. The robot character,
Pathfinder.
Yes, thank you, Pathfinder. He loves the voice of that for some and that really robotic voice that he liked on my so he likes that one, so I end up just like kind of stealing the controller out of his hand and just being like, this is what you hello but I don't get to play it with him as much as I want to because as soon as I start playing, he realizes that I know what I'm doing and he gets mad. And so he's like, all right, let's do something else. I want to play Roblox because I know that you suck at Roblox, Dad. Okay, now let's play Roblox. Okay, fine. Let's play Kaiju Simulator for the 614th time today. So,
well, you have an open invitation if you ever want to take it to play Apex with me. I play it pretty frequently sometimes, but anytime you ever wanted to play, that would be kind of funny to get on there and let you voice Viper while whoever the third person would be just tries to figure out what the hell's going on. That would be kind of funny.
I'm down to do that anytime, yeah. Because it's I never got a chance to do it, you know. And if I walk around like quoting lines from the game to most of the people I know here, like, dude, what are you doing? Why'd you change?
What's wrong with your voice?
Are you sick? Do you need lozenge? Like, no, I do not need a lozenge right now. I'd be down anytime. I mean, I think it would make I think
it'd be pretty funny
videos to
I definitely think so.
Do that and just see how many people we could troll. I'd be down for that anytime.
Because I'll tell you what, I do Twitch as well, and I stream Titanfall pretty much almost exclusively. And one of my things on my channel is that there's like a channel point system that you just get for free for watching. And people pay like 200 channel points, and that opening voice line of Viper plays the, your journey ends here, you pilot, the skies belong to me, nowhere to run. That's like like you said, people love that. So we've cultivated the cult of Viper, and kind of my like small little community. So
no, that's awesome. I'd be happy. I'd love to. As long my wife is not home tonight, which is she's hanging out with her girlfriends. So as long as she doesn't mind, because as you probably know, I am no longer the boss of myself. Happily, but I'm no longer the boss of myself, or really anything for that matter.
Yeah,
actually.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this. It was just awesome to get to talk to you about. Of course. We talked about a lot of stuff that I didn't even think we'd talk about.
No,
which is awesome.
I know that I went off on multiple. I'm a tangential thinker, which
can be it's great.
Good. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun to talk about this stuff because like I said, and I've said multiple times, I don't get the game as much as I did when I was younger, and it is something that I love doing. And the fact that I got to do this voice that apparently of a character that people have grown to love, it's really awesome, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate that you made the video that I could comment on, that you reply to me, and that we could, like, because this is cool. Like, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To for me to be like, wow, like people apparently
like it.
Read them bedtime stories. Like, okay, it is. It's really cool, and it's I appreciate that. I really do, and I appreciate the fact that that your followers, they really love the game, and I think that's cool, and that they love the character. That's like I am very appreciative of that. I really am, and I will always be appreciative of that, and I'll be appreciative of you making the videos. And if you want to play, we can play. And if you want to do this again, of course, my battery's running low. But yeah, and anytime, it really is my pleasure, and I do appreciate it a lot, Morgan. Thank you so much.